Calling this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, May 14. It is 5:30. Will we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Let's enter our allegiance.
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Present.
Present. Present.
Present.
Thank you, Mary. Moving on to 1.3, review of budget revision for FY 23-24.
Hi, good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. I'm just going to take you through revision number 1 of this year. This is our first and our last revision of the school year. So you should have the PowerPoint. So if you look at the, do you have the PowerPoint?
You mean the PowerPoint or the PDF? We have some PDFs.
Okay, so
You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. Is this, we're starting off in a public hearing, right? Did we need to make a motion to go into public hearing? I believe we do, right?
Make a motion to enter a public hearing.
A motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
second.
second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Sorry. I just realized it right now.
Okay.
We have 2 PDF documents.
To the code.
So the second PDF is the one that she's viewing.
Yes, okay. So the first page represents the adopted amounts from the beginning of the year. And then the revisions are indicated on the side for both M&O and for the capital. And then I'll just take you through a quick breakdown of those numbers. So for FY24, for the M&O, the adopted budget was the 20.6 million. Then we had some adjustments along the way. And so those adjustments resulted in the revision of 22.1 million. Any questions on that one?
Questions or comments?
No.
And then for the capital, we started off with an adopted budget of 2.5. And then we had a couple of adjustments along the way, the additional carryover, and that led us to the revised amounts of the 3.7. Okay. And then we did make some changes to our federal and state grants. Anything that had a carryover, we updated those budget amounts. And then just, I wanted to give you an update on some of the new grants that we received this year in FY24, which was the ART grant of $75,000. That's a one-time only grant that was given to our teachers. We did receive a PD personnel pilot grant. That was for $230,000, and we'll be able to use that for next year for staff. We had the feminine hygiene grants, which was also a one-time grant of $10,900. And then we received our school safety grant. That is actually 3 years. So this is year 1 of that 3 years.
Awesome. Any questions or comments? No? So I just have just one on the page on the additional carryover. So we had 1,196,197.
Wait, are you referring to the capital?
The district additional assistance.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah. Mhm.
All right.
And that money is going to be used for our expansion. That's why we have that carryover, because
Right.
that was planned.
That was part of that.
Mhm. Yeah.
We got that money, we set it aside.
Ms. Delgadillo?
On the PD and the supplemental personnel pilot, what is that?
So that was a grant that was given to us through instructional services. Ms. Fermanis applied for that. And the state is giving us that money this year, and that's going to help fund the difference in our strategists. Since we did lose that money, you know, we had that difference where we thought we were going to have to lose 2 of those strategists, and we were able to make up the difference with this funding.
Is
This-
it, oh,
I'm sorry, is this for 3 years or?
No, that's just for the 1 year, so we'll be able just to use it for next year. Because we're receiving the funds, kind of weird what's happening with the state, but they're trying to get rid of this money. It was part of ESSER money, and so they need to get it out of their account. And so we had to apply for it and we received it, but we just had to show that we were going to have it encumbered, and then we'll use it this next year. But it's done. After that, it's done.
and those strategists, they're aware that it's grant funded and everything, right? That these funds might not be available next year,
The following year,
the following year?
the 25, 26, right?
Correct.
And it's a possibility that they could go back to the classroom or lose their job.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen with funding. Who would have thought that the title programs would go down the way they did?
Right, but but my question is, they are aware that that could happen.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for getting that grant, Ms. Fermanis.
Thank you.
So, any other questions or comments?
That's it?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Need a motion to end, or actually, do we have any comments from the public
On the budget, right?
on the budget? No? Now I need a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Ending public hearing meeting at 5:37. So calling this meeting to order, Tuesday, May 14, it is 5:37. We're gonna forego the Pledge of Allegiance. We did that already. Mary, do we have any comments from the audience? No comments from the audience, thank you. Report from Dr. No?
So we're continuing to make progress on our construction. The state trust land paid for the, we went to auction for the land for the intersection to put the signal in next to SVS, which is a condition of us being able to expand SVS is to have that signal in. So we took us 1.5 years to be able to buy the corners, the 2 northern corners, but that's done. We got it. And now we're continuing with the vendor to have the intersection done. So that's started. And then the additional SVS, we're going to see later in the agenda, the items for approving the guaranteed maximum price for the CMAR, the construction manager at risk that we chose last month. Now we have the guaranteed maximum price and the A133, which is a contractual document, and that'll be for your consideration in getting started on the initial portion of expansion of SVS. And so we're moving forward. Also later in the agenda, we'll be talking about whether or not we want to call for a bond to fund additional construction and repairs campus district-wide. So those are continuing. SMS promotion is on Wednesday instead of Thursday this year. And since the date was on the calendar, on the district calendar, I should have made sure that an action was taken at a board meeting to approve or deny that change of date. Now, there were conversations that were had, and it seemed like we had communicated what we needed to, but that was my responsibility. So, and since I won't be here, Mary and others all know that mistake, so they're going to try to make sure and not make that mistake again. Another complication that's happened because of the change of the day is some misunderstanding. So I want to make sure that it's clear that in the past, 7th and 8th grade have done an early release on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of that last week. and both 7th and 8th grade. And the reason they did it, the excuse for Thursday was that promotion was on that Thursday. So then the confusion was, well, if promotion's on Wednesday, then do we go a full day on Thursday or does just this, so what I said is that we'll continue the same as we have. If we're told to do it differently in the future, we'll do it different in the future. But we are taking, at just the middle school, they're taking Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as half days. Wednesday is already a half day on our calendar. Fridays has been a half day traditionally. And so Thursday is normally a half day because of promotion, but even though promotion is moved, we're still doing a half day. So just so that it's clear to everyone. And that's not true at the younger level. At the younger levels, it's different at 7th and 8th grade than it is at the earlier grades. So another thing that occurred that I want to make everyone aware of is that we had a field trip that had gone well into its planning and filled out all kinds of really great forms and information, but not the one page that we need on the agenda for the agenda meeting. When we discovered that they had all these other approvals and that it was today, and we actually got the person in and they filled out the right form, and we do have it on the agenda as item 8.11. I checked with Laura, and we feel like it's a better mistake to say we put it on the agenda late than to say that we didn't have the board approve it, so or not approve it. So it is item 8.11 on the agenda. So I just wanted to make those points. And then, let's see, let me get to my thing here. Okay, I think that's on my list. If there's anything else that's what I've got.
Any comments or questions for Dr. Null?
No. I just want a clarification about the 7th and 8th graders being present to school Thursday and Friday, because for some reason my child came home saying that somebody mentioned to her that they didn't need to go to school. Is that?
No.
And I told her I'm not going to believe that until I see it posted or something.
No, we're going to
So-
stay with the same practice we've had, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, half days.
Okay, thank you.
She cried. She cried.
They're tired.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
Thank you, Dr. Null.
Thank you.
Moving on to 4.2, Ms. Say.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to announce that we have 21st Century. We have 4 schools in our final review. We had a meeting on May 3rd and had the team there, and Mr. Duran came as well, so that we could all be together and hear all the information. We had a few edits to do, but in that stage, they kind of help you to get those final things done. Now it's all submitted, and we wait till June 24th for them to let us know that we officially received it. So we're excited for that. So once that occurs, then we'll be able to move forward in the next steps. The last thing I just wanted to share, the administrators and the strategists, Mr. Drawn and I have all been talking and trying to plan things out for a smooth instructional plan coming up this year. So he and I met and kind of went over a lot of things that we wanted to have in place. And then I've been at task making sure that those things are occurring and getting done. And so I just wanted you to know that all of those things are in motion. We're getting our instructional plan set for the next year. The administrators, we were able to have a really good long day, long brain drain of planning session, getting all of our needs organized and looking at what is needed in that way, what our strategists need. I met with them, the strategists, this afternoon after I met with the administrators and got things organized. And then we were able to go through the detailed plan as well. And so there's a lot of room for flexibility as we are able to assess things moving forward, but they've got a good idea of the dates, where they need to be, what their roles are, what their responsibilities are, and what our goals are for the district. So I think it was good, and we'll be moving forward with that. So I just wanted to let you know that we've got things underway.
Any questions or comments?
I have a comment. Thank you for following through with these grants, because these grants bring these opportunities not only for the students, but for the teachers as well. You know, igniting that their passion in bringing these different, I work under a school where 21st century has been a big deal, and, you know, I see the benefits of it. And having these in our district, it's going to help our students out with the behavior and as well with the teachers, get a little extra cash.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Ms. A. So moving on to 5.1, board members report and board attendance. Ms. Ariola,
No comment right now.
Ms. Torres,
Guys are almost there. Next week, right? Thank you so much. Can't say thank you enough. If I had $1 million for each of you, I would definitely give it to you. But you all are just so valuable, and I see it, and especially in these last days. Just push through. We appreciate you, and I just wanted to say thank you, and also wanted to say thank you to Ms. Castro, Ms. Fullage, on the flexibility about the cheer tryouts. I was concerned that tryouts were the same week as all the promotions, and so thank you for hearing that concern.
thank you, Ms. Torres. Ms. Clark,
I know it already happened, but it was my first time attending the Teacher of the Year banquet. And it was so nice to see all the different districts there and seeing our own district and personnel supporting one another. My sister told me, oh yeah, everybody at BTS, we're all going and supporting our, our nominee. And I got to sit with SBS. I had a very good conversations with people. And I just wanted to say, all the preparation that goes into it, and the organization and just making it happen. It was such a pleasure to be at, and I hope to be able to attend future ones. But thank you so much. And then yes, it's the last push, and then to prepare for the next year. But I'm so excited to see the graduations that you guys have prepared coming up. I'm going to try to attend as many as I can. Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Gladio,
I too would like to thank everybody. I know these next 2 weeks are going to be very hectic. I've been there and I do miss it. Please know that any decisions that the board makes for each and every one of you, we do it with the best interest of you and the kids and the district. And, I think the most of us are educators, and so we've been there. And thank you so much for all you've done. Those of you that are not returning next year, we are sad to see you leave. Hopefully you change your mind and come back or have other future endeavors. Then we wish you a lot of luck. I wish you a lot of luck, and I thank you for everything that you do. Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Gladio. And for me, I will say that I attended the preschool promotion at TDS this morning. So it was wonderful. It was great to see those little preschoolers there, full of energy. And I just wish I had half of that energy. That was great. I also want to, Dr. Knoll, we attended your retirement, luncheon that we had. It was great to see, many of you there. I will say this, Dr. Knoll, I think today is going to be our next month. I don't think I'm going to be attending our June meeting. So this is going to be my last meeting with you, and the same. So I do want to share with you that I do want to tell you that, I'm very appreciative of all your years here with us. I believe it's a total of 10 years. I came in here, this is my 6th or 7th year on the board. I'm going to miss your demeanor, your approach, your calmness, I think above everything else, regardless of any situation that we would encounter. You always kept calm, and I think that helped us as a board, to keep that calmness and not rush into any decision. So, I'm very appreciative of your time, your commitment here. Just wanted to kind of thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We also have something for you. On behalf of the board and the staff,
Goodness.
we got this for you. So,
Oh, thank you. I don't know what it is.
you can open it.
I don't know. It better not be alcohol. Oh, look at that. Oh, how beautiful. It's a clock. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at that. Oh.
You want to read what's engraved?
Retirement Award presented to Dr. Laura Knoll in appreciation and recognition for your loyal and dedicated service to the Somerton School District, 2014 to 2024. Thank you so much. I have to learn how to read it. That's like this little clock inside of it. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Dr. No.
Hugs all around. Same thing. It's good to get to know you.
That's
Thank you. Can you take your thing? Oh, that's good.
Can you take a picture? Let's take a picture, Dr. No. I think we're gonna put Dr. No on the spot right now. She has to give us a speech, right?
You know, I've so enjoyed working with all of you. I feel like we're friends, and I feel like we've made one another better. And I think it's not one-sided. And maybe it's a different style than what you had before. I don't know, but I do know that we've had a really good collaboration, and I feel like together we've done much better than when we were opposed to one another or going crossways. And I just appreciate the communication and the patience, and I really do love working with you all. But I am going to be glad to not be coming to work, so I'll miss you all.
Thank you, Dr. No. So we're gonna move on to 6.1. TDS recognizes a former student, Jacqueline Ramirez.
Good afternoon, Mr. Board President, members of the board, Dr. Noel, and everyone. It's an honor and also very appreciative to be able to take some time in this meeting tonight to recognize one of our former students, and I'll do it like a quick split. I know we have a short amount of time, but we have Jacqueline Ramirez, who's currently a sophomore at Copa High School, and she started a project last year, and she titled it "Adopt a Teacher Just Cuz." And a very cool name because the cuz is the cousin. She started this with her cousin last year, and what she does is, it's going to be a split. She's going to explain, so I don't want to take her presentation there. Okay, but you can see she's there last week in our teacher appreciation luncheon. So she was able to bring the community together to sponsor about 40 plus teachers. And I believe that this is a gift that keeps on giving. She's working on her leadership skills. She gets to personalize these gifts for teachers and really get our community involved by just reaching out. And she's going to come up to the microphone now and she's going to share just how she made this happen. Okay, so hopefully there's other youth listening and she can recruit others.
So me and my mom created this project and to show appreciation to teachers by giving them something specific that they would write like on report of. They would write what they like their movies, their favorite TV shows and stuff like that, so that people from the community can step up and buy them something that they like. And all those gifts right there are people that bought something for them. My mom actually bought something for one of her teachers, elementary, from elementary that she had that was actually retiring. So just to show appreciation to them.
Huge thanks, sorry for Maria's mom. Jack is not a driver yet, so you can imagine where all these kids were collected and wrapped. But very proud of you, Jackie, for making this happen. And a side note. Oh, is it off? Do I start all over again? Good afternoon. Just a side note, she's very artistic, so if you visit TDS, there's actually one of her paintings there, but also I know through the COFA art program, some of her artwork is around the community, so she's a student who's definitely paying it forward. So thank you, Jackie, and from Ms. Sullivan and I and our TDS family, we have a certificate of appreciation and then something good for you to use for your art supplies. And thank you for this book.
Thank you so much. What a nice gesture and tradition that you guys started. So thank you. It is much appreciated. Any comments?
I want to add that this is a product of all of you. This is a product of the teachers, the principals, the community. This is why she wants to give back. This is the reason. Thank you, Somerton. It takes a village, and we see it there. She's paying it forward to the teachers. There's not a lot of kids her age that want to do this. There's adults that don't want to be teachers anymore. And for her to have that passion is a product and a result of what you guys do for these kids. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of you guys. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Ms.
Amazing.
Arena. So, moving on to consent agenda.
I have one item on the consent agenda. On item 7.8, the date is put in as June 7th, but we want to change it to May 31st as a date error on, it's the item for Miss Odom's retirement date.
Okay.
So it should be May 31st, not June 7th.
All right.
I would like to pull an item from consent agenda for additional information if we can, before we approve the consent agenda as stated.
What item, Mr. Carrillo?
It is 7.6. If we can take that out and then we can continue
Okay.
with the rest.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pull item 7.6. Can I get a motion for the rest?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated, except for 7.6 for additional information.
Okay, so motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. 7.6, reassignments FY 24-25.
I have a question regarding 7.61 on the Medicaid specialist. I went back and did my homework and I noticed that this position was approved back in November. I would like some information in regards to what the program, exactly what the person's going to do, how is it going to get funded, and why are we bringing it up now and we didn't hire someone then?
Do you want to explain that, or do you want me to? Do you want to explain it, or I can, either way.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So this was a new position that you approved for next school year. And so that position and description has been approved. We posted it, and then internal applicants and some external applicants applied for it. So if you recall, back in November when the position was brought to you, we were looking at our needs for the next year as we were planning for next school year, and Ms. Garza and the finance department mentioned to you that this Medicaid program brings in additional funding for the services that we provide for our ESS students. And so that is currently being managed between the finance and the ESS office. But as we've grown and we added 2 additional schools, the ESS staff member that handles the quarterly reports and the different rosters and so forth that are required is going to be next year managing just the schools that she has been allocated to. And so her, Ms. Garza and Ms. Rosario, Laura, have had discussions, and when we brought it to you, they discussed about since the finance office does the financial annual reporting, we would just bring an additional person in, and because we're not really tapping into the full resources of that program, and we are providing these additional service, I don't know if you recall, but we also with our RN, we're going to collaborate and bring in these additional services. So that was a discussion that was had in November. You approved the position. We advertised it in HR. They did the recruitment process, and so now as we're planning for next school year, they've hired the individual, but then the person won't start until July. And so this is the reassignment as the paperwork came through to reassign the individual effective July. It is not going to be a year-round position, it's only going to be 9 months position.
And it's paid through Medicaid. So they'll be bringing in more additional revenue. So it will be paid through the Medicaid funding position itself.
Pays for itself.
So it's a grant funded, it's not,
Through Medicaid. I don't.
It's a Medicaid reimbursement activity.
It's through Medicaid reimbursements, and what happens is we have these services that we provide, and we bill for these services. And so this position was put in place to capitalize on that, because currently we're not. We're
administrative.
going to be generating a lot more revenue from the Medicaid program, and so that's why we bring this position in between me and Ms. Garza, and we're going to collaborate. The duties that 2 different departments are doing, we're going to have this person just focus on all of those billable services that we have not been able to get.
so this position is under ESS or finance?
So it's kind of right now under both. It is a new position, so we are figuring out, it's mostly going to be under finance. So it will be under finance, but I believe the majority of it is going to have to be pulled from
The
ESS.
data.
So right now, until the position is established, it's going to be between the both of us. But primarily, it is a finance position. In other districts, it is a finance position because it does affect our.
We're missing out on hundreds of thousands because we don't have someone dedicated to dig into some of the deeper detailed reporting that needs to occur. And so the one lady who's doing it right now is doing it part-time. And so, we're getting so much, but we could garner about 400,000 more at least.
So I'm sorry, what type of services are we billing?
That's what I was just going to mention. That was just what I was.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, to everybody. So currently through ESS, we're able to bill Medicaid for anything to do with our really impaired students who require toileting, handling, transportation, some of those things. So by doing that, currently we're getting about $500,000. We have not tapped into billing for transportation for our students that are not ESS. We have not tapped into billing for 504 or typical students who are in medical plans that the nurse can bill for. So there's a lot of other resources that we have not even touched. So just with the ESS, we're currently at 500. So when we came together, we realized that by doing all of this, we can increase that fund that's going directly to the district. This fund pays for some of the instructional assistants in ESS. It pays for occupational therapy. It pays for speech therapy to refund back the district. But we haven't been able to tap into the general population yet.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, one more question. So that funding is going to go in the books under ESS or M&O?
It goes directly into the Medicaid funding source, which we can use to support services for the whole district. So it's not a grant per se, it's a section under the grant area that we manage, but it's not, currently we're managing it together because it's my office bringing in this funding, but it's going into the district fund. And then from there, we're able to support a lot of the other programs, and we do some carryover because it helps us pay for those related services that have increased significantly. Since we only contract now, since there are no OTPTs or speech available, as you know. So we can't let that dry because we have to be working on that. So one of my staff members, Norma, was working part-time on it, and we were doing the best what we could. But when I approached them about increasing that funding for the district, we came together, and since it's all going to be paid through that as well, it's really not affecting any other funding for us.
So it can be used for salaries.
No, it cannot be used for salaries for a teacher, but we have used it in a way where, because they support.
Stipend.
Significant. For example, one of our teachers was getting paid partially because he had the most significant students that were generating good toileting and physical mobility. And so we use it for OT speech, so in a way, yes, we can use it for that, but we really don't hire teachers for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have, so how much are we planning to tap into, like, what would be your estimated guess? You say we're bringing in about $500,000, so how much are we looking at for next year?
Well, I really can't let you know that, I will tell you that, because like, for nursing services, we have to make sure that they're trained appropriately in providing those through the IEP and or the medical plans that they have for general students. We've never done that, so I can't give you an actual number. We work with this company called SID, SEAS, who is the one that works with Access and Medicaid on that formula, but I'm projecting at least 300 to 400,000.
And,
But since we've never done that piece of it, I can't really give you.
and I guess the question that I have after hearing you, explain why this position is needed, why did we wait so long for this?
We had a person dedicated to it before Ms. Garza was in her position.
And what happened?
We just grew, so we've grown 19% on our ESS needs within the last 2 years, and we've added 2 more schools, so my person can dedicate it to it full time. And when I
So we're gonna have 2 right now?
she's gone to picking up the 2 new schools that are giving that. So she's not gonna be, we're gonna be supporting the person because they have to learn all about the services and the IEPs and the form, but none of my staff is going to be doing that. We're gonna be collaborating on that position for now, but eventually it will be all handled through the finance office with my support.
It's not money that's just sitting there for us to gather, so we don't really
Right.
know how much there is. It's about claiming against Medicaid and what they
Yeah,
will.
following the
allow pay.
proper paperwork and
Yeah,
everything,
it's
the
very
hoops.
And you try this and they reject it, so you try the other. and
But it
just-
kind of seems that we kind of left some money on the table for not having a person dedicated for that. And I mean, but now we're bringing it back on, and and I just want to make sure for us as a board that, I mean, we don't want to send a wrong, to our community, to our staff, that, how can I say this?
Positions are created.
Yeah, so, I mean, from what you're saying is that the position is needed, and
It's being done in part, and we'd like
and
to
a
see.
hiring process, it was advertised, whoever we hired, it was, everything was done in order, following process procedures.
The point system that was done through the evaluation, through the actual questionnaires and stuff that is available through a chart that can look at as well.
The person who was selected is very knowledgeable in those kind of procedures, so it's not surprising that she would do well in that kind of a.
Well, yeah, and that's not, I mean, we're not, in no way are we doubting, the qualifications. It's just the perception, we don't want to make sure that, okay, we waited this long or this individual to fill in the role of this position to start it, when maybe we could have had this position up and running since the beginning of this year.
Because there's a system that has to be put in place before you can even add anybody to it. It has to be at the beginning of the year. You have to have access numbers and IDs. Any staff member that gets added to that, what they call it staff pool, has to happen immediately. So even if we would put a person in right now, that we can generate any funding from that. So there's a very strict process and timelines that happen. So when we began the discussion, it was always intended for next year. So there is a person doing it partially, but it's only doing it for ESS. And we thought that for the district, it would be more for the school and a lot more funding. That's the difference. We have been generating funding from it, but we could do more, and we didn't.
Well, we've left a lot of money then on the table for not having someone else doing that. Those billing, those claims, that paperwork. Okay. Okay. I don't have any other questions.
I would like to make if there's no other questions, no?
No other questions or comments? No? Okay.
I would like to re-entertain and make a motion to approve 7.6 on the consent agenda.
The motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo. Second by Ms. Torres. And Mary, this is for item 7.6. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 8.1, approval of revised FY 23-24 budget. And this is exactly what was presented, right?
Right, this is from the public meeting.
Any questions or comments? Need a motion?
So move.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark,
Second.
second by Ms. Delgadillo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 8.2, consider, discuss, amend if desired, and if deemed advisable, to adopt a resolution ordering and calling a special bond election to be held in and for the district and authorizing the superintendent to comply with certain sections of the Internal Revenue Code.
So you have several attachments there talking about, we went through our attorney and through the Stiffel and Associates to get the proper documentation. So you have all the verbiage that would be going out to the public. And so we're asking if the board wants to go for a bond and approve that we move forward in asking the public for a bond, or if you think we should not go forward with it. So. Is
someone on?
Is Mr. Gael on?
Yeah. Elections, I do overall elections, and then the bond election passes, and I do the bond issue, and I do the bond council there, kind of walk you through the process, working with people, and put that your bond underwrite. So pretty well, defining the process, you probably do 30 or 40 elections a year, bond and override statewide, and probably 20 or so school bond issues. So again, assuming you pass it tonight, and then it passes. It's a lot here. So again, they'll be back for the board before. But this tonight is the board's opportunity to approve or not before you got the amount of $14 million. And interest rate, you'll see on exhibit A, we've got the bond balance. Interest rate 12%. That's awfully high, I understand, but we always try to be conservative there. These people will tell you they expect when they're finally issuing bonds to be more in the 5% range, but 12% is what we'll put in the ballot this year. So plenty of room in case interest rates go wild. You do have 10 years, assuming the voters approve the election in November. So you have 10 years to issue bonds. So not that we expect it to take that long, but again, if things change with the pandemic, we have recession. In your issuing bonds, 5 years, maybe interest rates take a turn for the worse. So again, we kind of plan for the worst case, but we don't necessarily expect. And then the final kind of variable, 12% is not to exceed 20 years. That's for the maximum. Once you get to issuing bonds, you can issue 10 years, 15 years, or up to 20 years. You'll work with people on issue at the time, and it's all about tax rates. Tax rates, a lot of you can layer this bond issue in, so that we have people working with you, and then superintendent. The election resolution delegates the district administration the authority to work with my office, my paralegal, as well as people, as well as most importantly, the county. The county, as you know, will conduct your election. The county is a good partner. We're doing a few elections in the county this year, like we normally do. The county will take ownership of that ballot, that on-ballot that we're referencing today. They'll print it, they'll mail it, they'll send it to all their registered voters, all that. In addition to the ballot, if you approve it tonight, we'll get it to the voter information pamphlet. You're probably familiar with the voter information pamphlet from other elections. It's basically something I track, and it provides all the information in theory that a voter would need to make an informed decision as to whether to approve the bond election in November. So again, I work on that, about all the numbers, the tax rate, the estimated override amount, the uses of funds, the override, which I expect will be largely for the bond, which will provide some detail in the voter information pamphlet. We'll work with the county to finalize that. We'll work with the county to finalize that voter information pamphlet sometime over the summer, but it'll be on the district to get that. Registered voters within the district. The county doesn't take full ownership of that, but we do, and we'll work with you to identify. We'll work with you to translate all that. So again, it's a pretty well thought process. You'll notice the resolution doesn't reference the possibility of an all-mail ballot. The general election year and even numbered year presidential election even. This will be a polling place election, so traditional polling places and voting centers in your district. But worst comes to worst, the legislature changed rules, the county has different thoughts, whatever. We do have the flexibility within that election resolution before you tonight to flip over to an all-mail ballot election. You don't need to happen, but we have seen it happen before. So we just don't want to have to raise back you guys over the summer. So we delegated to the district administration the authority to work with the county. I think that the election meeting, whatever matter. So we'll stay on top with the district administration. That's kind of the nuts and bolts of the election resolution. If you have any questions about the resolution itself or about the election process, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Any questions or comments? No? And just to clarify here we have, for the authorized, it would be administration. Who would it be? Would it be our?
I believe we just named the superintendent. We basically named the super and maybe the business manager. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So we made one superintendent or the director of financial services.
So it would be either or both.
Well, it's either or. I mean, it's both. They can each exercise, authority independently. With the smaller districts, you see the superintendent has to be more. Larger districts, you see the business manager, finance director, CFO, having but in the smaller districts, you expect the superintendent will be, quite active with working with us and the voter information kind of the next step.
They sent us a complete packet with all kinds of instruction on how to do each part and what to contact the county for. And we did contact the county and we've started. So they do have this all kind of formatted because of other people's experience. And then the one document has where at the meeting today, after the vote, we record the number of ayes, the number of nays, number of abstained, and then Mr. Castillo signs it as the board president. And so that's the beginning of it, because if the board wants us to pursue it, then we have to have board's permission to pursue it. And so.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then we'll provide formal notice to the county that the district, assuming you approve it, did approve it, and then that will be off to the county. And again, we've got good relationships with both counties. No issues there.
Yeah, and the only reason why I asked that question is because when I read section 12, I saw superintendent and then director of financial. I thought it was going to be our assistant superintendent. I thought I was thinking in that order. So But,
But our finance manager is the one who's managing the funds as they come in and
Right.
out, so that's
yeah,
why.
that makes, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
so it makes sense.
But I was reading it and I thought, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Also, Mr. Duran has been involved in the process and helping with the capital committee. When he starts July 1st, he has a knowledge of what we're doing and where it's going, so he can take it over from there.
Yeah. And that was my only question, just my observation that I saw it. I was,
But shouldn't we include the district superintendent and or the assistant superintendent? The verbiage, or just leave it as is?
For which part are you?
On section 12.
section 12. So instead of or, just put and?
No, like adding superintendent and
Or.
associates.
I think or allows you the greatest flexibility.
Yeah, or is more flexible.
But it's just the facilitation of the election, anything that needs to be signed for the process to happen. That nothing can happen unless you've approved it to happen, so.
Yeah.
We don't
I think
have
it's
any
good.
authority
Gives us
with
the
it.
flexibility and everything. All right. Any other questions, comments? Need a motion?
Motion to adopt a resolution ordering and calling special board election.
Motion was made by Ms. Torres,
Second?
second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Nay. Nay.
Nay?
Yeah.
Let's do a roll call. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Moving on to 8.3, GMP, Guaranteed Maximum Price from Seymour.
So the construction manager at risk is CMAR, and GMP is the guaranteed maximum price. So our CMAR we selected at the last meeting was Clint Pilkington. He's our Clint Harrington from Pilkington Construction. And so now he's given us the guaranteed maximum price and also the AIA contract, which is kind of a legal document specifying all the protocols for that. And so we have both of those here. So this is the next step. He did, this is the same GMP, the same quoted price that he gave when we talked with him about being the CMAR. So this is for the addition of the portion of SVS we're staying within the budget of the lump sum that we got in capital. Was it a year and a half ago? 2 years? Is it? I don't know. Well, last year. So we got that one lump of capital. We held on to that. And so that's what we're spending. We had to trim it a little to get it in that amount. We have to do a hammerhead there, even though we're not doing the full expansion, but we have to do the hammerhead for the fire vehicle. And they're going to do the full groundwork. So for the whole expansion, but just do the expansion that we can afford, 5 classrooms and a set of restrooms.
So we just need to take action on this, or?
Yeah. Mhm.
So I need a motion?
Make a motion to approve the guaranteed maximum price from CMR as stated.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second?
second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 8.4, discussion and possible action to approve FY 24-25, Prop 301, plan presented by Ms. Say.
All right, and I do have Mr. Flores going to help me out too as one of the committee members.
I'm gonna try. So, good afternoon, everybody. So the committee met last week and they went over the 301 plan for next year. Some of the things they looked at was the dates. The dates will remain the same except for next year, the years, those will be changed. The amount, as far as I recall, will be the same also. One of the major, one of the major things that changed was we have 2 plans, Plan A and Plan B. Plan A, 301, is dispersed based on data, based on student growth, based on, it could be Galileo scores, state scores, even IEPs. Okay? And the other plan is Plan B, which is it's 35 hours of community or professional development. This year, the committee decided to remove Plan A. For one reason is that there seems to be a lack of interest from the teachers to use that. Okay? Now you're going to say, well, the data is very important. It is. That's why it's still included in Plan B, but it's included under the teacher evaluation. So data will be checked, growth will be monitored, but it'll be through the teacher evaluation. So everything you're getting the same. The only thing it'll only be Plan B at this time.
So you're gonna tie their 301 money that was given to them to their data? That money that was, can you
No.
clarify that again? Maybe I'm not understanding that part.
So the plan is the same in the current teacher evaluation, 80/20, as you see right there. 20% of their evaluation is according to their data. And so if you scroll down to the little grid right here, there you go. The final annual data, that's done every year for the teachers' evaluations based on state data or district approved assessments, okay? And so that's 20% of their evaluation, and it has been for many, many years. So what was kind of repetitive was the Plan A, which was a duplicate of more data, which no one is utilizing because they already do all the data for their eval. So they do the 35 professional development / PD or community service hours. And so 100% of our staff are getting their money, their Prop 301 class site fund money through that plan, through Plan B. So now that we've done that for several years, our committee chose to go ahead and just eliminate that extra information of Plan A that's not being utilized and just allow the Plan B. So there would be basically, if you scroll back up just a little bit, right there. So 1 and 2, you have the data performance as measured within the SSD evaluation, and then 35 professional development / community service hours. That combined gets them their last payout. And next year, I believe it's 4,700. 4,600. It's in there, and they get more in their December pay and more in their June pay, and then more in their final payout as well. Does that
Yeah,
answer
just-
your question?
Yeah, let's just not try to make it like really hard for them to get their 301 money.
Oh, no,
That
this
was-
makes it
that was
easier.
for-
Makes it
That
easier.
was,
This
yeah.
makes it simpler.
Let's not try to make it harder for the teachers because they already have a lot on their plate and just adding more strings to it. It's just
No,
all-
actually, this removes a cumbersome string that was quite extensive. And since no one was utilizing it, the 35 professional development hours in community service is very easy for them to get because it's within their role. And so they're attending trainings, they're doing all of those kinds of things. They're doing the district community service like fall festivals, doing all the things like that. So they calculate all those up, and usually people have way more than 35
I can
hours
tell
at the end
you,
of the year.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I can tell you at SMS, the average, we just did the average, and its average teacher has over 46 hours.
Well, that's a little worrisome. If they're putting all those extra hours, those 46 extra hours, that a little worries me because then we burned out the teachers, we burned out the principals. So that worries me to say that they have an extra 46 hours.
Well, and with professional development, teachers can count if they took a class, if they did a webinar, anything that's approved like that, besides the fact that we also have been allowing them to do it even on contract time. So if they have their COPs or PLC meetings that are targeted for professional development, they can count that. So it's not necessarily outside hours, it's within. We've made it very, very generous for our teachers to acquire those hours.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I agree. I mean, this is the recommendation from the committee. And I mean, if, and if this is what they recommended, I mean, and I mean, it seems less tedious, I guess, from what it was. I mean, we can't just hand it down. We have to tie it into something. So I think the committee recommended it. I mean, I think it facilitates the process. So
Actually, the
Thank you for
state,
that.
I wanted to add, the state gave that money to the teachers. It's just the districts that add those strings attached to it. But that was actually passed by the voters. Yeah,
Yeah.
just to add that.
They chose to keep the plan because it's something that everyone is still doing, and they feel that it's valuable.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm glad that they chose that. I remember my binder was this thick. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Some of them still
It
exist.
is.
They like
Can't normalize
Good,
it. We
good,
can't
good.
normalize it.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Moving on to 8.5.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Moving on to 8.5, approval to offer a contract to certified staff providing funding is obtained and certification requirements are met for FY 24-25.
So we just have additional staff members that we've issued contracts for next year for, and one is a brand-new hire, and then there's just a few additional teachers. And so that's the list for you to please approve to issue their contracts for next school year.
Any questions or comments? No? Need a motion?
Motion to approve. Oh.
Motion was made by Ms. Torres, second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 8.6, approval to offer notice of appointments for FY 24-25.
A couple other additional new hires for our classified employees, so we just need your approval to go ahead and keep them on for next year.
Questions or comments? Need a motion?
Make a motion to approve the notice of appointments as stated.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark,
Second.
second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 8.7, discussion and possible action to approve the salary schedule FY 24-25.
Good evening again. This is our annual request for you to approve our salary schedule for the new school year. And so the information that I have in front of you is the current exempt salary schedule. And so I usually compare to the local schools, Crane, Gadsden, and Yuma 1, our elementary school districts, not the high school. And I look at their base salaries for the roles similar to ours. And so based on that information, and you'll see your salary comparison is provided to you in your packet. We would like to make these recommendations to increase the base amounts so that if we do have to hire a new individual based on the schedule, the base amounts for those positions are competitive to the local market. So you'll notice that the ranges for our salary schedule have been updated. That's because the salary schedule that we use, I was running out of range numbers, so we kind of, had to make sure the integrity of the schedule is still the same. We just have new range numbers to allow us to keep expanding. So there's no big change there. Those ranges fall within the market, and so we're just asking you to please approve the new change for next year. So when we have to hire the new middle school principal, we'll be able to bring him in within the market that's there.
Any questions or comments? I just have a quick question. Dr. I know there's something under administrative content. We can't display that, right?
Is that the salary comparison? That's for you to review.
Yeah.
And that's the same format I used for the last 6 years that I've been with you. I just show you the base amounts for the different ones, and I included the teacher. It's not on here to approve, but you already had previously approved our teacher schedule, so that's just to show you that, our base amount for the teachers is within like $500.
So we're still the lowest when it comes to the base pay, right?
For the teachers, unfortunately, we did increase it by 4% this year. So we're within, I like to say we're within $500 of the market, but yes.
Yeah. 600.
Is it?
Yeah,
You're rounding up?
602.
I round down.
602. So, okay.
And then on this one too, on the exempt one, you'll notice that our adult ed, the instructor, there's additional funding. That hasn't been increased for some time. So Mr. Onisco has made a recommendation to increase that to $30.10. So.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 8.8, discussion and possible action to approve the substitute rate FY 24-25.
So here's another housekeeping item to get us ready for next year. I look at the local market again and compare the sub rates. And so we would like to propose to increase our sub rates for next year by 4%. So these are the new amounts. It'll go up from 125 to 130 and so forth. So about a 4% increase to each of these amounts.
Questions or comments? Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark, second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 8.9, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve or deny the release of Maritza Canales from her contract FY 24-25, effective 5/24/24.
So Ms. Canales has approved to come back next year, but she had some changes. And so we're just asking you to please release her from her contract for next year, effective the end of this school year, which is May 24th.
She gave us early enough notice to find someone, and it is a family moving, so.
Okay. Questions or comments? Need a motion?
Motion to approve the release of Maritza Canales, as stated.
Motion was made by Ms. Clark,
Second.
second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 8.10, discussion and possible action to waive or fine 1% of Maritza Canales FY 24-25 contract.
So within the clause of the contracts, there is liquidated damages. And so based on the exhibit that you have there, the admin is recommending that you waive the 1% fee for Ms. Canales.
Okay. Questions or comments? Need a motion?
Motion to approve the waive.
The motion was made by Ms. Torres to approve the waive, right?
To approve the waive.
So motion was made by Ms. Torres to approve, to waive the fee.
I second.
Second by Ms. Ariola. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 8.11,
This is the item that was added, and it's very thoroughly planned and prepared with a lot of details in each of the PDFs. The PDF on the right has the summary first page part, which is the part that you normally like to consider and see as a summary of the request. And then, but there's a lot of PDFs attached describing the whole event and the trip, what they're planning to do. It's a Stuco event.
any questions or comments? No? Need a motion?
Motion to approve the out-of-town field trip for SMS.
So motion was made by Ms. Ariola,
Second.
second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 8.12, discussion and possible action to approve the governing board 2024 political agenda to submit their top 5 priorities to the Arizona School Board Legislative Committee for consideration due Friday, May 24th, 2024. So I don't know if you guys looked at them. I highlighted like 6 of them. I also have the ones from the previous 2-3 years. So I don't know if we just all want to give one to Mary. Yeah. I'll do the first one. Under adequately and equitably fund district schools to at least the national median per pupil funding. I'll do the maximize state funding for competitive salaries to attract, recruit, and retain talented teachers and staff. That's mine.
Yeah. I second on that one.
So that's one. We need 4 more. I could read you my list, but
Under the same tab, I choose to provide full-time funding for preschool programs in the K-12 funding formula.
That would be great.
I have one under the required public accountability for taxpayer dollars spent on education. That's the red tab. It's repeal any program that gives public funds for private school vouchers.
Mm-hmm.
we're all on the same page.
And
And-
prevent any future expansion.
One for the rule ensure that the students in Arizona's small, rural, and remote schools are considered by policymakers alongside students in large metropolitan schools. So,
We just need one more, right, Mary? Ms. Clark was the one, to fund the preschool. It's under the,
The same.
yeah, the first tab.
It's the second column, the fourth from the bottom, bullet from the bottom.
¿Qué tú quieras?
Yeah. The continue reforming English language learner models of instruction. So under the improve outcomes for all students tab, continue reforming English language learner models of instruction to increase integration of English learners and give schools flexibility and resources to administer them, advocate and repeal of Prop 03 and replace it with research-based bilingual education.
Bilingual education.
yes.
That was the one I had.
Yeah.
picked, too.
Yeah,
We need it.
I think those are our 5. So, need a motion? Just say.
I make a motion to approve the 5 political topics that the board elected.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second?
seconded by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So moving on to 9.1. Any recommendation from the board for future agenda items? Anything you guys would want to see? Moving on to 9.2. Regular board meeting on Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. It's at 5:30. And then we have a tentative second board meeting in June, scheduled for Tuesday, June 25th at 5:30.
Okay, so here's the thing. These are budget meetings, so we have to have a quorum to propose, and we don't have the budget from the state yet. So we can't give you a draft or tell you, we haven't been given next year's budget yet, monies or numbers. So the June 11th, which is our regular meeting, we're hoping to be able to propose the budget for the next school year. And then we have to have a second meeting. It has to be at least 10 days apart. So 10 days apart would be June 25th. But hearing about you all and vacations and stuff like that, I'm concerned about us having a quorum at the meetings. So we may want to talk about when you all are going to be in town during June. We don't have to have it on the 25th. We could go later into July. How many days after the adoption do we have? Can we go?
So it would have to be Tuesday, July 9th.
July what, I'm sorry?
It would have to be the regular, if we were to have a regular meeting in July.
So if they approved the budget June 11th, then they could have the second meeting July 9th.
If the 25th doesn't work for everybody and you don't want to have a meeting in June, the next best date would be that first meeting in July.
And then we don't always have a meeting in July,
Right.
but you have a new superintendent, so that may want to change that. I don't know.
I would say let's look at our calendars right now. If we could do it, I would rather have that meeting in June. Just get it, get it out of the way. If you look at June 24th through June 28th, I'm gonna be on vacation, so I'm available any day that week.
I'm on vacation and I'm not available.
Oh, you're not available? You're not?
No, I'll be out of the country.
Okay.
So do we have a quorum for June 11th?
I'll be here. I'll be here for June 11th. I'll be here.
I can call in if you really, really, really need me.
So it sounds like we do have a quorum then for the 11th, and just
I'll be
Mr.
here the
Castillo.
11th.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm not going to be here. the
you won't
11th.
be? So we'll be counting on you three then. Okay,
If you need me, I'll phone in.
Okay.
I can phone in
so
virtually.
if something should happen with any of you other three, then let us know for that 11th so that we can ask Mr. Castillo to phone in. Okay, so there's our quorum for the 11th. And then the 25th, do you want to do it June 25th? Or do you want to wait?
Yeah.
Do you want to skip a July meeting and not?
I would, if we can't skip a July meeting, I would rather skip a July meeting and do it that last week of June. I know you won't be here, Ms. Torres, but
Who is available for the 25th?
I'm available for the 25th.
Are you? Okay, great.
I can do.
Okay, two. And Ms. Delgadillo, you're available?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, so there's our three. There's our quorum. Did you write that down, Mary?
no, that's the week prior. We'll be back.
At what time?
We'll be back.
5:30? Okay.
And that should be a really short meeting because you will have already discussed the budget and decided what you wanted at the 11th. So on the 25th, you'd just be approving it. So it's a very fast meeting.
And I would say for, so that settles June, right? And if we really need to meet in July, I would say, maybe look at the third week in July.
Well, you don't have to meet in July at all. If you don't want to make, if you want to say, wait and see if we need one, but
Yeah.
I don't know of any reason. We've usually, the way
Right.
we're structured, we're good for
Okay.
not
I
meeting
mean,
in July.
If we're good, then let's not meet.
Because we get all that stuff ready at the end of
Right.
this year and then everybody's just gearing it all up. So,
But if, just in case we do it, let's do it on the third week.
okay, so we'll plan to not meet in
Not
July
meet, but if needed, the week of the 15th through the 19th.
if needed, 15th to the 19th.
And we could do the 17th, if needed.
So June 25th at 5:30, the same. Same.
And that should be like really fast.
Okay. We're all good? Perfect. So, Dr. No, we good on that?
Yes, I was so concerned about getting the dates. Thank you very much.
So 9.3, district promotions. There's the calendar of the promotions. Questions or comments? Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.